All right, Mallory. It's a light show as far as headlines, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to pitch it off to you for the games of the week.
Starting off strong here, folks. Number 5, Georgia, taking on number 1, Texas. Texas at home Saturday, October 19th at 6:30 p.m. Can watch it on ABC or ESPN Plus. Texas they're 4-point favorites.
First team to be
heading in this
favored
game.
over Georgia since Clemson in 2021.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
I love that.
So here's a couple questions, right? And we'll get to Georgia in a bit, but I have some questions on Texas right now. How much do you take from the slow start against Oklahoma? This is I'm not trying to make a point here. I'm literally asking you. Versus how much was it just Quinn Ewers being his first game back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, roughly, basically?
Some people are saying Oklahoma gave teams the blueprint on how to defeat Texas. Is the blueprint just hoping Quinn Ewers misses a wide open Isaiah Bond? The receivers were wide open.
Yeah.
It's just Quinn Ewers was rusty in that game.
Yeah.
So hopefully he comes out better in this game against Georgia. And I think you kind of saw it in the post-game press conference when Sark said, 2 years ago when we won the Golden Hat, we thought it was the Super Bowl, right? And now it's just kind of another game, which is, that might come back to bite them when they play Oklahoma next year. That's going to be some bulletin board material. But you saw they brought Quinn Ewers to get ready for Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I think the only thing that I took from that game was that maybe Quinn probably should have got a couple snaps against Mississippi State. Maybe. I don't know if he was 100% healthy too, but I think that looking in that game, I was like, okay, maybe. Also, it shows that if you give Brent Venables 2 weeks to prepare for somebody, he can come up with something. Mm-hmm. Their issues obviously weren't defensive. They were offensive. They could throw the ball or Hawkins couldn't make a read passes first. So, they were kind of hamstrung. But Venables was able to do something because he had 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah, and that's a good point because Sark versus Venables was an offensive mind versus defensive mind clash right there. Well, Georgia's got Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp on the other side, and Glenn Schumann. So that is a three-headed monster.
I was about to say,
I'm
very fascinated because Georgia, a lot of talk heading into the season was QB1. Who would be QB1 in this draft, right? Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is in that discussion as well. Cam Ward's kind of made his way into this.
I was about to say the answer is neither. Maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe. But as far as the answer in July, the question in July, I'd say Carson Beck has played fine. Like, he hasn't been – I don't think he's been the clear-cut QB1, right? It's why Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders have kind of worked in this conversation. Obviously, Ewers has been injured. I think it's been more interesting to see kind of the run game be inconsistent for Georgia. Like, Trevor Etienne has not been that great. And I think if you're going to go at this Texas defense, I think you're going to have to be able to – well, I don't know if you can go into this game with Carson Beck with this game being on his shoulders. Because he's made some mistakes. I believe against Mississippi State, he had 2 picks.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have a rusher. I think they have 2 rushers who have roughly 5 yards of carry, but they're not really relying on them, I think, as much as I thought they would heading into this year.
What I'm curious about is where does Georgia have the positional advantage over Texas? Mm-hmm. It's maybe running back and maybe the quarterback, and other than that, I think Texas is better everywhere.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where we start to have it's weird to say because again they've only been in this discussion for a year, going on 2 years, but it's like we're getting to that Alabama Georgia place with Texas where it's like, are they just the better team on paper against whoever they play, barring like maybe Oregon this year, like the one team maybe that they haven't played that's not on their schedule that you can kind of fantasy book in your mind.
It feels like Texas is Sparta and Georgia is the Athenian Empire, the Peloponnesian War, and Texas is about to be the new empire.
Right. Well, it's like because Georgia. Here's the other thing with Georgia. I'm looking at their schedule. They've had some games where they just have like Kentucky was a really weird game, right? 13-12. They had to sneak that one out. Alabama's had issues, and of course they ended up losing that game. Again, I think Alabama is good. I think they just had some bad games.
Well, they also spotted Alabama 34 points.
Sure, 100%. They probably should have got waxed in that game. So, but we haven't seen that from Texas, right? When they do start slow against Oklahoma, the defense is good enough to where they really don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but this is a measuring stick game for Texas because
100%.
They've only played 2 really good teams, and they're kind of just 2 really good helmets. In Michigan and Oklahoma, Oklahoma offense was anemic.
Yeah.
And Michigan's offense, too, is now on their
quarterback. Can't throw the ball right now.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So I agree. I think this is going to be a very good measuring stick game because Texas doesn't get the other measuring stick in Alabama this year. So this is kind of like the SEC, this is the true welcome to the SEC game, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is you get you get the game day atmosphere, you get hosting the big dog, the new big dog, quote unquote, and you don't play the other one, right? This is like going to the Big Ten, and maybe you don't get Ohio State, but you get Michigan, or you get Michigan, but you don't get Ohio State, right? And if Texas comes out, I mean, at home, this is now a really good home atmosphere, which you couldn't say maybe 3 years ago. I don't know, man. I really don't see Texas where Texas loses this game on paper, at least, right?
Well, the advanced stats hate Georgia in this game. And we talked about it with Rice and UTSA, and we thought, hey, maybe these advanced stats, we're smarter than the advanced stats. Well, they were right.
I would say, like, I think the thing that you can say is, because, again, advanced stats are a tool, so you can take whatever you want from it. But I think what you can say is that Texas has not yet shown a weakness that gets them beat. And Georgia has, one, lost already, and also shown weaknesses against Mississippi State, against Alabama, which they ended up losing, of course. But, they lost that, sorry. But you mentioned the 30-point deficit. Kentucky, I mentioned, right? Auburn, they didn't really look that great against Auburn. Again, another offense that couldn't move the ball really at all and still hung around. So it's like they've given some weak points, some points of emphasis where you're like, how good is Georgia?
But Texas did show a bit of a weakness, I would argue, and this is from Mike Craven, who this is the most advanced stat you'll ever get from Craven, who noted hater of advanced stats, but first down offense. So I went and calculated the numbers. Yeah. Texas had a negative or no gain play 10 different times on a 1st and 10 on 25 attempts.
Yeah.
So 10 out of 25 times they were either 2nd and 10 or behind the chains. If Quinn Ewers in the Texas offense, I said it on the recap show, if they play like that in the first quarter, you're spotting Georgia 21 points instead of just 3 points like you did versus Oklahoma.
One thing I will say to cap that off, I wonder how much have that had to do with them trying to figure out the run game. And I wonder if they figured it out now that Trey Wisner might be their guy in the backfield. And if they go into this week knowing that Trey Wisner is the guy and maybe you have these other guys spelling him.
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked really good. And again, he wasn't somebody that he was on our radar as far as like, we talked about Gibson, we talked about Blue, we talked about, it was like, oh, these guys. And it was like Wisner was kind of fourth in a lot of people's minds. We knew he was good coming into Texas, but he's kind of established himself.
He's really had to step up, with
so
all the injuries.
I wonder going into this week if that changes at all, because Sark is such a scripted, balanced guy to where it's like this play sets up this play, sets up this play, that like maybe the first down, if it's a run, it hasn't gotten it, or he's maybe had to dial up a pass sooner than he wants on first down to where he can't. So I don't know. I'm wondering if that maybe changes that trajectory. But I agree. That's been an interesting point, that their first down success has not been as good as it has been in the past.
Hopefully there's no pregame meeting between Bevo and Uga.
I was just remembering that before. I was like, that was the last time these two teams played. Somebody was
and
smart
that was
enough
when
to think.
You thought Texas' the dynasty was going to start under Tom Herman.
Right.
And then it ended up having delayed by a couple of years. But
that's an interesting parallel.
That poor bulldog.
Somebody thought it was smart enough to say, hey, what if two wild animals met? Or I guess one domesticated animal. But like, what if just two animals?
Weren't you saying that it was more like it was Georgia's fault?
Oh yeah, I did a project on this. Well, I didn't say it was Georgia's fault, but
you said
it was
Georgia
a lot
was
of people's faults.
Yes, Bevo was chilling, and they were, and
Georgia didn't
obviously
know.
Texas had to say yes to bring Uga over, but like, who brings a dog over to? Anyway, go ahead.
Columbus Day was yesterday, and Christopher Columbus, when they came to the Americas, brought cattle, these longhorn cattle.
Yes, okay.
They went feral for centuries on the open Great Plains, developed those long horns to sweep out wolves, from under them. And they got super long. Well, that bulldog, even though it's a cute little bulldog, has wolf pheromones that freaked Bevo out. So he thought he was the predator. He
had one of those like PTSD moments to his ancestors. Like, this is what my ancestors fought for.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my chance. So yeah, hopefully none of that happens. Just keep them separated far away. Those are two cool mascots that don't need to meet. What's next?
Agreed. All right, moving on to a game that's got probably about the same amount of hype behind it as Texas-Georgia, in my opinion. Okay. Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Traveling to play. Sam Houston hosting Western Kentucky Wednesday, October 16th at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN2. Sam Houston coming in as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under 55.5. How about them Bearcats?
Tired. Texas versus Georgia wired Sam
Houston
on a Wednesday.
on a Wednesday, guys.
I love it. All right, look, Sam Houston. We've been on the bandwagon for a bit, but this team, I don't know if there's a team in the state. I'm including Texas in this that knows exactly what it is. Right? Sam Houston. Yeah. They're not a pretty offense. they know that their offense is really going to come out in the third and fourth quarter because you're just going to get tired of tackling the Hunter Watson when he runs power, or I'm forgetting the running back's name.
Jay Ducker.
Jay Ducker, like he's going to get a 20-yard gain in the third, fourth
DJ
quarter.
McKinney's also been very good too.
He's been really good. It shows to me how good this team actually was when healthy. Because like none of these guys were healthy. Obviously, Hunter Watson wasn't on the team, but like the running backs weren't healthy last year, right? The offensive line wasn't healthy last year, and it was like even if they wanted to do a semblance of this, they couldn't even fathom it a year ago.
Well, they're running a lot of 12 personnel with the two tight ends, Elijah Sohn and Fernando Garza.
Just man ball.
Just man ball. I mean, they're averaging 282 yards per game on the ground the last 4 games. It's the first team in Conference USA to rush for 250-plus yards in 4 straight games since Florida Atlantic in 2018. Just some man football.
That's awesome. I love that, yes, offensively, that's what they are. And then defensively, as we saw against Texas State, they're trying to get, like, obviously, if things don't go well in the first half, like they did against Texas State, they're able to make adjustments to where that after, okay, we can figure out what the team's trying to do. Okay, then that second half is just no. UTEP, right? UTEP was another great example. We're like, why is this team hanging? Why is UTEP able to move the ball a little bit? Halftime happened, nothing. They had nothing. And then they just knew that offense was just going to kind of gain steam. It's kind of like a snowball. And just slowly, they may put up 10 points in the first half. They're probably going to put up 17 in the second just because you're tired of tackling that same inside zone / power, whatever they got. And I'm very fascinated because I mentioned this. This might be a Conference USA eliminator game for because Liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, Liberty. I don't think anybody's going to beat Liberty right now, and everybody else is kind of looking kind of whatever. I don't know. Like they're not bad.
It's like a 3-team race for Liberty,
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, Sam Houston.
Yeah, because you have the bottom. You have UTEP. You have New Mexico State this year. But La Tech's kind of punching up in the middle. So, like, nobody's, like, bad except for maybe 2 teams. But everybody else is either these 3 or, like, somewhere in the middle. As opposed to last year where it was, like, Liberty, everybody else, and then kind of New Mexico State for a little bit as well.
Does Sam Houston play Liberty this year?
Yeah, last game of the
yes.
season.
Last game of the season? Okay, I couldn't remember if that was the case.
I think
everybody
both
plays
Western
everybody.
and Sam. So, yeah. So
Man,
this
that
would
could be the conference championship then. That rocks.
We'll see, man. I'm very
Possibly.
excited.
Hey, don't look ahead against
I'm
Western
sorry.
Kentucky because it's hard to look ahead.
I said could be.
It's hard to look ahead against Caden Veltkamp, the Western Kentucky quarterback, who's 6'6", but you can't.
I'm
look
excited
over
I do
about
love
Sam
that, like,
Houston, okay?
Does Western Kentucky have the tallest quarterback room in the country? Because
Yeah.
TJ Finley was
TJ
the
Finley,
projected
yeah.
starter, 6'6", 6'7". And then Caden Veltkamp has been the backup, and he's been playing, obviously, because Finley's been out, 6'6", 236.
Yeah, but Sam Houston has the strongest quarterback room in the country. At least that's what the coaches said when I was there in spring.
Listen, look, if they're even, like, obviously Hunter Watson's an insane athlete, so, like, if they're, like, 75% of him, that's fine. I believe it. I believe it. No, I'm very excited for this game because Western Kentucky, I think, has looked real. They kind of, ever since the Zappy and Kitley left, I think we've forgotten a lot about them. And they've just kind of been a really good Conference USA team. They haven't been obviously competing for championships like they did that one year, but they're still pretty damn good. Like, I was curious about how they handled UTEP. They pummeled UTEP. There was no issue there at all. And, of course, they lost to Boston College when they didn't have their quarterback, so I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I don't know. I'm very fascinated by it. I think Sam still comes out and wins this one, especially because, like, I don't know, weird things happen on Wednesdays as we saw last year.
Yep.
So
Wednesdays get weird.
Wednesdays in Huntsville get weird, so I'm all in on this game.
Well, Western Kentucky has allowed only 16 points per game, too, since the week 1 drubbing against Alabama. Just take that one out. Forget that one. They're allowing 16 points a game.
Right.
I still get nightmares about when Michigan State played Western Kentucky back in 2021 when Bailey Zappi was the quarterback. And that was before I even knew who Bailey Zappi could be, right, as a quarterback.
I became familiar real
we
quick.
went in.
You're like, why are they throwing 70
We
times?
we came into that game, and my dad and I were like, okay, at the time, a Conference USA opponent should be pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
No. Our secondary was like, whoa, who's this guy?
They're
It was
averaging 4
insane.
yards a pass, but they're somehow throwing for so many yards.
Never forget Bailey Zappi.
Oh, love it. What's next, Mallory?
All right, let's continue on here. We got 3 more spotlight games. Texas Tech hosting Baylor this Saturday at 3 p.m. This one's tasty. You can watch it on ESPN2. Texas Tech, 6.5-point favorites. The over-under, 55.5. Is Baylor one of those teams that you look at their record and it doesn't necessarily indicate that, you know? I feel like they've had a lot of close games that they just haven't been able to pull out. Obviously, they've had some pretty bad losses too, but
Yes and no.
Yeah, I get what you're saying on the field because they're very close in all these games, but the vibes.
I was just
It's a vibe.
Literally
It's a
about
vibe.
to say
Vibes
they
thing.
are
I
a 2 and 4
completely agree.
vibe team.
The vibe, yeah,
On
correct.
the field, yes,
But-
I agree. They're
Okay.
a team that should be
That's a good way to
probably
put it.
having a winning record right now, but
Good
the
way to put
vibes
it.
are definitely 2 and 4. Like,
Dave Aranda came out of the bye week and said the team has a fair amount of juice. Coming out of it. So
he's
a fair
not,
amount of juice.
Look, okay, so he's not in his depressive phase yet.
Not
with the,
yet.
with the quote.
We're
So I think
teetering.
we have something here. I'll say this, right? The problem for Baylor is going to be obviously that basically everywhere on the field, Tech's better this year. Also, you go into Lubbock. That's a tough. Like if you want to catch Tech, a Tech that's rolling, you want to catch them on the road, and they're not catching them on the road. They're catching them in. Is this a night game? No, it's an afternoon game. Okay.
Yeah.
So regardless, Joey knows how to win in Lubbock, and right now, at least at this day, they're probably better everywhere on the field, which is not something you always say about Baylor and Tech.
Yeah, I think so. The one thing, it's crazy to say. Here's the one area I think Texas Tech could struggle against Baylor. The Baylor passing offense might be better than Arizona's. Because I know Tedero McMillan is a wide receiver 1 in the NFL draft, but that was
Sure.
the only guy they had to guard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sawyer Robertson has been quietly awesome this year.
He's been really
Yeah,
good.
he has been
And
good.
they've got 3 wide receivers that they can go to. Josh Cameron, Hal Presley, Monterey Baldwin's still there.
That's true.
Right?
That's
Keytron
true.
Jackson, the tight end, gets a lot of play.
That's true.
So
That's true.
that's the one area I could see giving Texas Tech fits because, look, they're the top-ranked scoring offense in the Big 12, the last-ranked scoring defense.
That's a great point. Yeah, I'll say this as well. The issue for me is going to be Baylor running the ball because I
That's
think
been an issue for a long time.
they've been an issue. But it's
Yeah.
like we kind of thought it would maybe.
Oh, I thought it was going to get better, and it's just
Yeah,
is not.
because Spavital is somebody who, even looking back at his Texas State teams, they were able to run the ball a little bit, right? Obviously, he had his issues there, but like he's known as this passing spread guy, and I think that's what's helped Sawyer Robertson. Definitely hits a system that's familiar with him, but they haven't been able to run the ball, whether that's an offensive line issue or just the talent hasn't been there. I think it's a combination of both, maybe. That's where Baylor's going to really, really hurt because Tech's able to do both, and so. Whether or not Baylor can stop one or the other, Baron Morton now is becoming that other. He's becoming that 50-50 on offense,
Yeah.
right? Everybody knows the game plan's Taj Brooks, but now that Baron Morton is healthy and they're able to protect him, he's able to be that other load of the offense with Josh Kelly getting involved. Now, as we've seen Coy Aiken breaking out, Caleb Douglas looks really good. So it's like their weapons are starting to emerge everywhere outside of Taj Brooks, and now it becomes like, can Baylor keep up with that almost?
And it might be raining, too, in Lubbock.
And like, yeah, so like there you go. Like if it's raining, yeah, I'm gonna go with the team that can run the ball with one of the best running backs in the country.
It might
Yeah.
just be time to say Texas Tech at 5-1 is just a really damn good football team. I
Sure.
know the Washington State game, we kind of kept looking at Texas Tech. Okay,
Yeah.
3-1, 4-1, having good wins, but like I'm not a believer yet. The teams they beat, they're 25-6 against opponents not named Texas Tech. So they're not just beating up on bad teams right now.
Yeah, no, I think there is something to that because Mallory mentioned Baylor being at least on the field better than their record, right? I think that 2-4 is appropriate. Don't get me wrong, for where the program is, but like close loss to Utah, obviously heartbreak loss to Colorado, close loss to a really good BYU team, and then of course Iowa State probably was their worst performance loss, I would say, of the year. If Tech comes out and just beats them, that's impressive, right? I know it's going to say, 2-5 Baylor, but like this is a Baylor team that should have beaten Colorado, probably should have definitely started awful against BYU. And so like maybe they play that. If they start better, they win that game. But again, ifs, whatever. If they come out, and I'll look at this as an impressive win if Tech wins by like 2 scores, let's say.
But what happens if Texas Tech comes out and waxes Baylor? Like then it gets real scary.
I was about to say, then it's like, oh man, okay. Yeah, it goes 2 ways, right? At that point, really impressed with Tech, but then also like, okay, what are you doing at Baylor? Because you are falling behind your peer, quote unquote, peer program in Tech. I always measure these 2 teams together, if that makes sense. So.
It's really tough when Baylor will post like a walk-off field goal from 2014 and just seeing the atmosphere at that stadium. And then there's been some videos on social media of them like all dancing the tuba time right now. And it's like 8 dudes in a semicircle like doing this thing at the timeout break. It's just, what is going on?
Yeah, I know the decisions were made and they reaped the benefits of the Aranda hire initially with the Big 12 title, but like they're going to go into a Tech atmosphere and look at a Tech roster that was built on by the guy that was there a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I know, again,
Through the looking
bygones be
glass.
bygones and all that, but like still, there is somebody there that's going to be like, why is this here? And then they're going to go home. I think they're back home next week against Oklahoma State, and they're going to be like, why isn't this here? So
something to think about.
Okay, let's move on here. You guys ready to stay up late on Saturday night?
let's go.
It's like
Back to
really late?
Big 12 after dark.
It's Big 12 after
Let's
dark.
go, baby.
TCU traveling to play Utah this Saturday. Kickoff at 9:30 p.m. at night. It's a good one. ESPN, you can watch it there. Utah, 4.5-point favorites, over under 49.5.
Yeah, the last Big 12 after dark, I just had a piss poor performance and had to go to bed in the middle of the second quarter against Tech. So totally misplayed my coffee drinking time, and like it was just I was out of whack. So it was week 1 for me.
Yeah, we didn't talk about, obviously you and Craven did, but TCU's game against Houston. If we're talking about vibes, TCU is lucky that Baylor exists right now.
I was there in Fort Worth. Vibe report. Bad.
Very bad. A Houston team that is very much openly in rebuild. Let's play hard, shake hands, and go to 2025 mode. And TCU just got punched in the mouth at home. A TCU team that I think a couple weeks ago we were like, okay, Josh Hoover looking really good. Like, if they could just fix some things on defense. Oh, okay, it turns out the defense might still just be bad. Like, I was like, I think obviously last year was bad, and the year before was, even when they made the national title game, it was still bad, but it was opportunistic. When they brought in Andy Avalos, you were like, okay, let's shore up the things, the bad, the big leaky stuff on defense. And I think they have, but it realizes how far they had to go, because it's not last year bad, but they're still bad. And it's not like, I think it's an improvement, but that just shows how far back that they were, that I don't think Andy Avalos is going to be able to come in and fix this in year 1.
And people want to get on Josh Hoover for the interceptions, and yeah, he's turning the ball over, but he also has to play perfect, and he knows it for them to have a chance, because 1, the defense is porous, and then 2, this is from the frog preacher, Jamie Plunkett, friend of the program. There are 6 running backs in the Big 12 alone who have more rushing yards than TCU has as a team this year.
Yeah, Cam Cook is their leading rusher right now with 3.9 yards a carry. I mean, just look right here. Here it is. Cam Cook, 336 on the ground, 3.9 yards a carry. Jeremy Payne, 4.6 yards a carry. Dominique Johnson, 3.8. Trey Sanders, who we thought was going to be a big player this year, 3.9 again. That's their receiving. That's their running game at all. Like, and so yeah, you mentioned Josh Hoover. Yeah, he has 6 picks this year because he's the one that has to move the offense. And then you look at the wide receiving core, and it's like Jack Besh is like by far their best player this year on that offense. And so JP Richardson has been fine. Savion Williams has just not been the guy that we hoped he would after QJ left. So it's like it's basically a 2-man offense almost, it feels like. And I don't know, man. This is starting to get another loss on the road against a Utah team that it's going to be, of course, without Cam Rising.
Yeah, that's good news for TCU.
Good news, yeah.
I mean, is it good? They knew this guy hasn't played at all. Like, Utah's Kyle Whittingham's put like the biggest smoke screen the entire year. Was like, oh, he's week to week again, guys. It's like it's October, and then he's never played.
And then he runs out there with wooden legs, basically. Can't move. I was watching that game in a bar on Saturday night. I was like, this guy cannot move right now. Like, get him out of there.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, he's week to week again, guys. Like, no, he's not. Just stop doing that. And so he finally, he's redshirt. He's out indefinitely, and he could redshirt apparently, which is crazy.
I was gonna say, isn't he actually eligible for an 8th year?
He is. So it's a
please, because would that make him the oldest college football quarterback to ever play in college? Because Alan Bowman right now, I think, is on his 8th year, or maybe he's on his 7th. He's on his 7th year. So that would make him probably the oldest college football quarterback ever.
I don't know about ever, because there's some,
well, maybe not ever, but like
weird times are happening, like when people are going off to war and stuff.
No, that's
so
okay.
Like
in recent history,
yes,
let's say in this, So Bowman's in this century.
Bowman is 24, and I believe Rising is 25. So there's already that.
Okay, well, there's
Casey
that
Thompson
already.
is still playing. He's the 3rd string quarterback for Oklahoma.
That is true. Jesus Christ.
Casey Thompson and Cam Rising were in the same quarterback room, I believe, at one point.
Yes, they
were.
They
my
were.
gosh, at Texas.
So Casey Thompson is 26. I believe
with
he is
Shane Buechele.
With Shane Buechele. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I have some.
Shane Buechele's been in the NFL for like quite a few years now.
I have a Cam Rising stat. Okay.
Okay.
I wrote this down earlier. So he's older than Zach Wilson. Now with the Denver Broncos.
That's awesome.
Zach Wilson is on his 4th season in the NFL. Has basically already been declared a bust.
That's great.
Cam Rising's backup, Isaac Wilson, the younger brother of Zach Wilson.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
When Cam Rising was a freshman at Texas in 2018, Isaac Wilson was in 7th grade.
That rocks.
That's insane.
I mean, look, I'm all about get your money, but listen,
Come on, man.
let Isaac Wilson take it from here, man. It's
Yeah.
fine. It is fine.
It's the
So
whoopee.
yeah, long story short, Baylor's they were not preparing for Cam Rising.
Rising.
They knew from the very beginning that this guy was not going to play because he basically hasn't played. I know he has, but like he's not him.
Well, and Isaac Wilson is completing 55% of his passes for 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So Utah's going to build the whole plane out of running back Micah Bernard because TCU also can't defend the run. They're second to last in the Big 12 in defending the run.
They're very bad at defending the run. I mean, as we saw last week against, when Houston put in Zion Chris, or I guess he started the game, but like when Zion Chris came in, it was like they couldn't do anything. It was like, oh, a guy who can run and pass? Oh my God, what's happening
Well,
here?
Craven made this point on one of the recap pods when Sonny Dykes is saying, I thought we'd be a really good running football team this year. It's like, yeah, because in fall camp, they were running on your defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. It was like, oh, nope, they can't stop us. This is awesome.
Sonny Dykes in company right now with Mac Brown, Lincoln Riley, and Deion Sanders. Good company, right?
Sure.
For 5 and 8 in the last.
I was going to say for what? For what is he in good company with?
Oh, yeah, it's looking real shaky because I don't know if we expected Sonny Dykes to be somebody we talked about as far as like job jeopardy.
And we're not talking about it yet.
We're not talking about it yet, but like
But-
it's approaching that territory. It's approaching that territory. So I don't know. What's next, Mallory?
All right, let's round it out here with Memphis hosting North Texas this Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPNU. Memphis 10-point favorites, over under 66.5.
The Seth Hennigan Bowl,
The
part 2. I guess part 3. I don't know. Probably.
He's killing it
Dude,
in
this
Memphis.
this is also a huge game.
No, this is a massive game.
This is a great week.
This is I mentioned there are 2, I guess 3, because I didn't even consider Texas, Georgia being a SEC eliminator potentially. Go ahead, Mallory.
Okay, hold up. I just thought of this, and I'm going to say it before I forget it.
Okay.
Did Seth Hennigan ever play against Chandler Morris, Highland Park, Denton Ryan?
Yeah, they probably did.
They probably
Because
did, didn't they?
That's the game where Jatavion Sanders had the one-handed catch over the Highland Park defender, right?
Yes,
but
I'm wondering
Chandler
if-
Morris,
I
I
was
don't
about to say,
think
I'm
Chandler
wondering
Morris
if
was
Chandler
there.
or was that Braden
That was
Shager?
definitely Braden Shager because
That
I was
might
at
have
that
been
game.
Shager. That might
That
have
was
been Shager.
that was Braden Shager.
Yeah.
Who's now at Hawaii.
I think Chandler Morris played against Spencer Sanders at Denton Ryan.
Okay.
No, Sanders was gone. It was somebody in between. It might have been
I'll look
young
this
Seth
up.
Hennigan.
Y'all
Yeah,
carry
we'll have to look that up. That is very interesting, though. Potentially two state winning quarterbacks because they both won one.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, this is going to be a fun game, a very fun game.
gonna be awesome.
UNC last week should have lost that game, and to FAU because FAU was not a good offense heading into that game, and the defense reared its ugly head again. It was like UNT got stopped once or twice on offense. All of a sudden, that's all the FAU needed to kind of take a lead. Opportunistic defense late from UNT, stopping FAU on a drive that could have ended it, and they go down and score. And it's a similar recipe to last year, except I think Chandler Morris has been better than Chandler Rogers, which is hard to say because Rogers was really good
He
last
was
year.
really awesome. But Chandler Morris, man.
Chandler Morris has been great this year.
Mm-hmm.
The running game has been good enough. It's not as good as last year because
They're also all injured.
I was about to say
too.
they're all, but it's been good enough. And the defense has been more opportunistic this year, right? They have more turnovers this year. Last year they were just getting gashed on the ground. They couldn't stop the pass, whatever. So it's been better. It's still very much the weak point, but it's like an upgraded game plan to last year where it's like if you can get 1 or 2 stops, no one's stopping us on offense.
Yeah, North Texas is looking to start 6-1 for the first time since 2018. The times before that were 1988 and 1977. So this is sneaky. Could be
Let's
one
go.
of the best North Texas teams if they keep going like this in program history. But I know they're about to enter the woods, right, of Memphis, Tulane, Army, all the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, the slate's gonna be tough here for the Mean Green coming up.
I have a stat for you, Mallory. The last time North
Okay.
Texas took down Memphis was October 18th, 1980, which was also Cam Rising's freshman year. And North Texas is 4-18 against them
Love
overall.
that. That's
Man.
a great stat.
Here's the thing for me. So we're going to talk, everything's going to be a lot, rightfully so, about Chandler Morris and Seth Hennigan.
Which, by the way, I just looked it up.
What's up?
Chandler Morris was class of 2020. Seth Hennigan was 2021.
Okay. So they did play then.
They did.
Okay, there you go.
Who won that game?
I don't know.
All right, we'll keep talking.
I think Hennigan might have because they went to state back-to-back years. So I think maybe we'll see.
Revenge game.
Yeah.
Chandler Morris.
So with that being said,
This is what happens when you let high school nerds on this podcast.
I know,
too.
right? Exactly.
Texas high school football nerds.
Memphis, the difference in this game is going to be, to me, Memphis' running game. Because Memphis, one, they can run the ball. And I worry, because as we saw last year, this game came down to a Hail Mary, essentially, right? In Denton, and Hennigan's return home. Hennigan's prone to not play the cleanest games, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not mistake prone, per se. He's only thrown like 1 or 2 picks this year. But Memphis is in a place where they don't have to rely on him a lot because I believe, Mario Anderson Jr., 5.5 yards a carry, Brandon Thomas, 6 yards a carry, and that's kind of the only 2 they've relied on. So they can run the ball very, very well.
And what can North Texas do? What can't they do on defense?
I was just about to say, what can't they do? Stop the run. So that's going to be the big worry for this game is what happens. North Texas has been opportunistic this year on defense, as we've seen from their nice Stone Cold inspired celebrations, turnover celebrations. But what happens? It's a great bid.
It might be the best one. It's up there with Club Takeaway at SMU.
Club Takeaway, that one. I like the slot machine at UNLV too. That's a good one.
Yep.
That rocks.
But no, the Stone Cold water bottles is pretty dope. If they don't have to throw the ball though, can you force some fumbles? Is that defense is similarly opportunistic? Is what I'm going to say. So that's my only worry for this one. Is it's at Memphis and they can just control this game on both phases of the offense. But at this point, like you can't ride off Chandler Morris. He's only had 1 bad game on the road against a team that's a better caliber than any other team they're going to play this year in Texas Tech.
I was about to say the only time the Stone Cold celebration wasn't cool when they did it versus Texas Tech. Down
That was the
66
funniest. That was the funniest. Doing a turnover celebration when you're down by like 50. It's like the dance. It's like the Fortnite crying kid dancing. You're just like, do the dance, do the turnover celebration.
This is where we find out if North Texas is for real.
Yes.
In the American Athletic Conference
Yeah.
because they are a conference contender, but
Yes.
I think they're the one I look at and say they haven't been totally tested.
Yeah,
yet.
you've been very open about that, like saying like they are a contender based on their record, based on their resume, 100%.
But
Play
the
somebody.
Correct.
Yes, play somebody. And this stretch of games, really, not even just this game, this stretch of games, even including, I'm going to throw UTSA in there just because they always have voodoo with North Texas. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter who's good, who's bad in that game.
It's like a Texas OU situation. doesn't
Memphis,
matter.
Tulane, Army, UTSA. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. If you can 1, 2, 3, 4, if you can go 2-2 in this stretch, I think you're still in the race. I really do. So if you go 500, if you go 3-1, okay, watch out. You're a front runner at that point. Obviously 4-0, well a front runner, but 2-2, for real. You're for real.
Mallory, weren't you at the Memphis game last year? North Texas versus Memphis?
I don't remember.
Somebody was.
I thought you were
Probably.
at it because wasn't that the game?
I was at.
It was Hennigan took him down the field in a Hail Mary in the last play of the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was.
Oh,
Because I
so
was like,
hard to
the
bury the
return of the return of Seth Hennigan and didn't, and he just I absolutely was. I couldn't remember.
45
but
to 40, that final score
Yeah.
was.
I wasn't going to let you forget that.
Thank you, Carter.
The camera could not get its eyes off of Dave Hennigan, who just flashed
That's
him
right,
every
because
single
Dave
drive.
Hennigan was there.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Dave Hennigan crying in the stands.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Seth Hennigan had I think 40 family members there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He took up like the entire away section.
As he should.
They should. Yeah, it's a homecoming game for him.
Yeah.
So last time he'll be able to play the team from Denton. So
True.
theoretically, I don't think he has eligibility after this.
I don't know who has eligibility and who doesn't at this point,
Fair enough.
I don't think it's fair to say that he has none left.
Yeah.
He might have 3 years left. Who knows at this point.
Alrighty. I think
That's
all
it for
the games of the
Spotlight.
week. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the lightning round. First up, UTEP hosting FIU this Wednesday at 8 p.m. You can watch it on CBS SN. FIU, 7-point favorites. This is an FIU team that is 2-4 on the season, and the over/under is 48.5-ish. What's up?
Look, we knew this season would be bad for UTEP. I'm just looking for things that they do well because I don't know what they do right now, and that's the record will not indicate how good this team is, how good of a hire Scotty Walden is. That's not the point. I want to see semblances of proof of concept, and that's what I'll be looking for.
Houston playing at Kansas this Saturday, October 19th at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. Kansas, 6.5-point favorites, over under 46.5. Carter, what's up with Houston?
Zion Chris QB1 season. It looked like a different team against TCU. Punched him in the mouth. Let's punch another team in the mouth, Kansas, that is kind of floundering right now this season. So
Bad.
Could the Cougars go streaking here? Let's see.
Texas State traveling to play Old Dominion this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. Texas State, 10-point favorites, over under 61.5. It feels like this one the Bobcats should win.
Yes, 100%. Last week the vibes were really good. They beat Arkansas State team that drubbed them last year. I believe put up 70. So that was a great emphatic win. They've had back-to-back emphatic conference wins. Let's make it 3. I think it can happen. ODU, kind of on the only issue there will be on the road, East Coast, but I think they'll get it done.
UTSA hosting Florida Atlantic this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. UTSA, 3-point favorites. The over-under 55.5. Carter, take it away.
I don't know how UTSA is favored, but if there's a team that needs a win, it's UTSA right now.
Literally. Rice playing at Tulane Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. Tulane. Can anyone guess how much Tulane is favored by right off the bat?
17.
22.5.
Oh, my God.
Over under 54.5-ish. You gave me the biggest reaction, so you get this one.
I got the Love You Owls shirt on. Look, after last week, I was like,
Let's at least cover.
how's this season?
Rice.
How can the season go? I looked at their schedule like, okay. Never mind. Look, playing with house money, man. You're down. You're over 3 score underdogs. Pull something out. I don't know.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Great talk, guys.
Number 14, Texas A&M playing at Mississippi State this Saturday at 3:15 p.m. You can watch it on SEC Network. Texas A&M, 15.5-point favorites, over under 56.5. Carter.
Texas A&M's going to stay undefeated in SEC play. Mississippi State is not a good SEC team, and don't look now, but Texas A&M has a chance to make things interesting coming down the last half of the season.
I know. All right, and to round it all out of our Week 8 slate, number 21, SMU, traveling to play at Stanford this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on ACC Network. SMU, 15.5-point favorites. The over-under, 54.5-ish. Round us out.
All right, SMU, you've had a week off to hear about how awesome you guys are now with Kevin James at quarterback. Unbeaten in conference play. Stanford, I believe, 1-2 in conference play. Let's make it 1-3. I think SMU gets it done pretty easily. Show you're about to be one of the big dogs in the ACC. I believe you're tied for first now. I think Clemson has the most wins, so they're technically in first, but you're right there with Miami. Nothing's stopping y'all. Y'all don't play either of them this year. Keep going.
Nope. That'll do it, folks.
Boom.
That's it.
There you go.
And then should I preview my game that I'll be at?
You should preview your game.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Mallory. Give us a
I did
breakdown.
not look at any of this, so let me pull it up really quick. Michigan State hosting Iowa this Saturday at 6:30 p.m. y'all's time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, which I will be at this game. You can watch it on NBC Peacock. Maybe see me freaking out in the stands.
For either team.
Iowa coming in as 6.5-point favorites. The over/under 41.5. That's not that bad. Come on, guys. Let's pull it off. I'm excited.
Mallory has 2 little mascots on her shoulder. One is an Iowa Hawkeye. One is a Michigan State Spartan.
No, one's Kirk Ferentz, and the other one is a Spartan.
One's definitely not the Iowa Hawkeyes, specifically Kirk.
It's Kirk Ferentz. I'm going to see Kirk Ferentz, guys.
A Big Ten girl in her winter dreamland.
Literally.
So there you go. Keep an eye on that game if you want to see Mallory potentially get escorted off if she tries to hug Kirk Ferentz.
Aren't you a Michigan State fan? Yeah, but I like Kirk Ferentz.
Anyway, that'll do it for us. Please remember to watch out for Sunday morning / Saturday night for the Power Poll on TextualBall.com, as well as the recap episode. Subscribe at Republic of Football everywhere you get your podcast, whether it's the Republic of Football Network or just this individual show, Spotify, Apple.